The 15th Amendment by Sandra Garcia. The 15th Amendment is also known as the women's suffrage. The women's suffrage was women fighting for their right to vote. In 1870, black men were granted the right to vote. However, the Constitution did not specify who could and who couldn't vote. It only stated that the right to vote could not be denied to any citizen because of the race, color, or previous condition of servitude, meaning if they were a slave. Women realized this and they started speaking up. They started seeking their right to vote. Many groups were started by different women, each believing different things. Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucretia Mott were the first women to start a women's rights convention in Seneca Falls, New York. This is where the Declaration of Sentiments was created, expressing that they wanted their rights, gender equality, education, and the right to vote. Also stating that all men and women were equal. Many women groups were made. Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady were against black men being able to vote and women not having that right. Lucy Stone protested and believed black men and women both had the right to vote. A lot of women suffered during this time. Many marches, protests, hunger strikes were done in order to fight for this right. In 1872, Susan B. Anthony tried voting in a presidential election, and she was arrested, tried, fined $100, which she did not agree to pay. Alice Paul, whom for protesting, also was arrested and tortured for demanding her rights. Dorothy Day and 32 other women were arrested for picketing outside the White House. An older lady who was arrested with Dorothy Day says that two men were handling her, meaning Dorothy Day, were twisting her arms above her head. Then suddenly they lift her up and banged her down over the arm of an iron bench twice. How it was said in the beginning, there were different types of groups fighting. They were mostly divided by race. In 1878, a formal amendment for women's rights to vote made it to the U.S. Senate, but since there was much division, it didn't make it completely through. This is where women realized that they needed to be more united. And in when World War One happened, a lot of women served, some in the actual war, some as medical suppliers, some as ambulance drivers, and other things. President Woodrow Wilson agreed to support this fight, especially because of the service of the women in the war. However, it still did take time to be passed. In 1918, the amendment was passed to the House. Then in 1919, it was passed to the Senate. Finally, in 1920, the 19th Amendment was passed, granting all American citizens the right to vote no matter their sex. Now, at this time, women had the right to vote. However, not all black women were allowed to vote. Black women were still being denied the right to vote in some states. Until about 1960, women secured their right to vote. Today, because of these women who stood up and fought, all American citizens have the right to vote. This is my works cited, and thank you.